In 1944, the world was in chaos. The Allies were fighting tooth and nail to take down the Nazis. But while the big battles raged on, there was a group of soldiers sneaking around Europe with inflatable tanks, giant speakers, and a paint set. Hold on. Did I say inflatable tanks? Well, you heard right. These guys weren't your typical soldiers. This was the Ghost Army, a secret US unit whose job was to fool the Nazis into thinking there were thousands of troops where there were none. And let me tell you, they were really good at it. This top-secret group was officially called the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. About 1,100 men made up the unit, and their mission was to use deception, visuals, sound, and even acting to confuse the enemy and save lives. And they were recruited from art schools, advertising agencies, and other occupations that encouraged creative thinking. So they weren't even highly trained soldiers. Think of them as the military's version of a Broadway production, but instead of putting on a play, they were staging entire armies. And the stakes? Oh, just the fate of the free world. So what did they actually do? 5 words. Inflatable tanks, planes, and trucks. They were made of rubberized canvas and looked ridiculously realistic, at least from a distance. Imagine Nazi scouts peeking through binoculars, seeing an entire armored division rolling into position, and reporting back to their commanders, "We're outnumbered." Meanwhile, those tanks were basically oversized pool toys. They even had teams who dragged the fake vehicles into position at night so nobody could see how light and floppy they were. Can you picture it? A bunch of soldiers wrestling with a giant inflatable tank while trying not to laugh. But they didn't stop there. Visuals were just one piece of the puzzle. These guys were sound engineers too. They had these massive speakers that could blast fake battle noises. Tanks rumbling, troops marching, even the sound of fake bridges being built. The recordings were layered so convincingly that enemy troops believed entire armies were on the move. The sound could travel for miles and even tricked locals into thinking a massive battle was happening nearby. Oh, but we're not done yet. The Ghost Army mastered the art of deception. They didn't just stop at inflatables and sounds. They also looked the part. These guys created fake division patches, made up phony unit names, and even designed official-looking insignias to slap on their vehicles. They'd roll into a town, act like they were prepping for a big invasion, and then casually mention fake plans to anyone who might overhear, like Nazi spies. One of their most famous missions was during Operation Brest. The real Allied forces were planning to attack from the north, but the Ghost Army's job was to convince the Nazis that the attack was coming from somewhere else entirely. They set up their inflatable tanks, blasted sound effects of troops and vehicles moving into position, and even transmitted fake radio messages in code. Oh yeah, the radio guys were next level. They had trained to mimic the radio operators from real divisions, down to their unique quirks and speech patterns. Can you imagine learning to copy someone's radio personality? That's dedication. Now you might be wondering, did the Nazis really fall for this? Oh, they absolutely did. The Ghost Army's work was so convincing that the enemy diverted troops away from the real battlefront. Sometimes entire divisions. And the best part? The Ghost Army never fired a single shot. Their weapons were creativity, imagination, and just a touch of theatrical flair. In total, the Ghost Army carried out 20 deception operations across Europe. They saved thousands of lives by tricking the enemy and buying time for real Allied troops to move into position. But despite their amazing feats, their entire existence was classified for over 50 years. These guys pulled off one of the most incredible feats of the war, and nobody even knew about it until 1996. Talk about unsung heroes. If this doesn't prove that imagination can change the world, I don't know what does. What do you think? Could you have been part of the Ghost Army? Let us know in the comments. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because history is full of stories even crazier than this one.